Hard to borrow stock is one that doesn't have shares to sell. So in other words, if someone's trying to short a stock that's hard to borrow, that means the shares aren't available to borrow, and then they get what's called a hard to borrow rate, which can vary between. In other words, if you're borrowing stock that's hard to borrow, so you're trying to short it or sell it. If you try to sell a stock that's hard to borrow and it has a 10% borrow rate, then whatever you're borrowing, so let's say it's a $50 stock, you want to sell 100 shares, it's $5,000. If that rate's 10%, you would take the amount of the shares that you're borrowing, $5,000, multiply it or divide, times 0.10, $500 for the year, and that's what you're paying divided by 365. However, when they get bad, like GameStop did back in the day, the borrow rates can go to 800-900%. So it's a very, very, very slippery slope because people think because they're going to get a certain amount of extra credit for selling a spread for $5, then when they get assigned, which they immediately will, then they're paying that borrow rate based on whatever the percentage is divided by. So like I said, if it's a 50% borrow rate, then in the stock's, it's a $50 stock and it's $5,000, you're going to be paying $2,500 a year to borrow that stock.